It's Fran Harris with another question of the day in 3, 2, and go. Hey, it's Fran Harris. Good to see you again. The question for today is, how do you know if you are in your calling, whether it's your career or whether it's your life? How do you know if you're in your calling? A great way to figure out if you are truly in that space where this is what you are supposed to be doing with your life at this time. And let's realize and recognize that this can change, because what you may have been called to do when you were in your 20s may not be what you're called to do when you're in your 30s or 40s, or for that matter, next week. So the first thing I want you to think about is this whole notion of that once you have your calling, it's the only thing you will ever do in your life. That's not necessarily true. It may be true for some people who, when they got here, when they were 6 years old, they knew their calling was to do X, Y, Z. Some people may not figure out what they're supposed to be doing until they're 35 years old, 65 years old. So first thing, let's not get caught up in a calling is a lifetime thing. It's not that way for everybody. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, let's say wherever you are today, you want to feel more fulfilled, because that's what it is. When people start questioning whether they're in their calling, they're experiencing some level of discontentment in their life, whether it's their relationship, their job, just their being, just being in the world. They're trying to figure out, is this who am I? And we all ponder that question. Who am I and what am I supposed to be doing? So here's how you figure out if you are in your calling in this moment. Okay. The first thing is to get quiet. The first thing is to say, I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to ask myself, do I wake up in the morning with joy? What I call in joy, not E-N-J-O-Y, but I-N-J-O-Y. Am I in joy? Literally, that's the first test. When you wake up in the morning, when those eyes pop open, do you say, wow, I get to do this amazing thing today. I get to serve in this amazing way. I am just so thrilled with where my life is right now. And if the answer to that question is yes, then there's a great possibility that you are in your calling, right? You are where you're supposed to be at this time. And if the answer to that question is nope, then there's a good chance that you are not in your calling. There's a good chance that there's something grander, greater for you. The second test is ask yourself if what you're doing is bigger than you. If what you're doing right now are you serving a greater purpose? It doesn't matter what it is. Do not judge what it is. If you are a delivery boy or girl for newspapers and you feel joy by delivering folks papers every morning, you know that you are serving at a higher level, then you could very well be in your calling. Okay, so it's not about the prestige of what you're doing. It's the feeling, the spiritual space that you inhabit when you're doing it. Okay, so you wake up in the morning, you think, this is not it. Then there's a good chance there's something missing in your life. And it's usually not something that's out there. It's usually something that's inside of you, right? Because once you start to tap into the greatness, the genius that is within you, then you start to be able to attract all the stuff that makes life more comfortable. So my simple test to answer this question is just to start off with how you wake up in the morning. Do you feel in joy? Do you feel like you are in that space where your life is just blissful? I like to use that word. I like to be in bliss. And then when you wake up in the morning, do you feel like what you're doing or what you're going to do that day puts you in a space to know that what you're doing is bigger than you? I'll give you a quick example before I sign off. 5-6 years ago, I was asked to coach these girls who were basketball players. They were in the 7th or 8th grade, and I was asked to do it, and I said no. When the person asked me to do it, I said no. I don't want to coach 8th graders in the summer. I don't want to spend my summer that way. And then I went home and I did exactly what I just said to you guys. I got quiet. Now, at this time, I'm a television host. I'm about to start shooting my series for HGTV. I've got businesses that I've built, making tons and tons and tons of money. And I'm thinking, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for these 8th grade girls. I didn't even know who the girls were. I just knew that I didn't have time for it. But when I got quiet, when I got home, and I literally just said, okay, let me silence all the noise, all my chatter, because we know we all have chatter. Let me silence my chatter and let me ask God about this. So I got quiet. Next morning I woke up and I said, I will have another conversation with that individual who asked me about coaching those girls. And I did. I decided to do it. I decided to put a lot of money-making stuff on hold to coach these girls for 4 years. So when I look at my test, I started to wake up in the morning feeling very joyful. I was in joy. When I do my test, every morning I woke up, I knew I was doing something that was larger than me. It was larger than any check I was going to be able to write to myself or any check I was going to be able to receive for all the stuff that I do. It was bigger than me. And so I got a great deal of fulfillment from that. I knew that in that space, in that span of 4.5 years, I was in my calling. Now, I'm not saying that had I not accepted that, I would not have been in my calling, because I could have probably gone and served in a different way. But at that particular time in my life, that was what I needed to do. And I accepted that and I did it. And 5 years later, we've done a documentary about it. The girls are in college, and it was a magnificent time in my life. So I challenge you today to get quiet. Be still and get quiet and ask yourself, is what I'm doing, is who I am right now, does it feel like I am in the space where I can truly say, this is my calling? Until next time, go out there, make your move, make your mark, and make your difference. See ya.